think Quan produced this.
Play this record as frequently as possible.
Yo, what up? This Marlon Holloway coming to you from Black Nerd Planet with my man
Jordan Carmichael. We about to get this thing live. We about to set it straight. It's episode 1. So we felt like, a couple guys from Indianapolis, we could say a few things.
Episode 1 of Black Nerd Planet. And it's time where we just take this time to give you a brief summary of what we got going on over here. We not the only, and I know that we not the only black nerds out there, or even nerds in general. You don't have to necessarily be black to feel like you belong. So we accept everybody. All right, this is episode 1, and here is the time. We'll take this time to give a brief introduction about myself and my man's Jordan over here to the left of me. And I'll start off with myself. It wasn't like I started off as a black nerd necessarily. I think I was more into sports and things. I wasn't really watching a whole bunch of anime or reading a bunch of comics, but one day I watched some anime and I read some comics, and it just seems like now I'm hooked, and I got like 2,500 comics in my room right now, or some crazy number like that. And I just want to share my experience with y'all. I just want to let y'all in, let you know about me.
So this is Jordan again. Marlon gave his, synopsis on where he was at, where he's at now, and the culture of the nerd. I would say I put him on anime a little bit, on comic books a little bit, so his wallet probably doesn't appreciate me. But I know personally I've been in the quote unquote culture since I was probably about 7-8 years old. It all starts with Captain America and Spider-Man in the 90s animated show, X-Men. Then it goes into learning about the Kickstarter animes like Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z, Digimon. Get up later, we're talking about Final Fantasy games, and
which is not my expertise. Just so you know.
At all. I'm the JRPG guy, but everything kind of starts at a certain point. For black kids it's kind of cool. You kind of claim people like Piccolo in anime, because honestly you already know there's not enough black people in anime, and you get a good black comic book character like Jon Stewart, Green Lantern. That's somebody I've always linked to. Static Shock. Even nowadays, they try and push Black Lightning, and I honestly didn't even know anything about Black Lightning until now, but it's really cool that we're at this point, and it's going to be really cool to see where it is in the future, and it's going to be real hype to see me and Marlon, grow. We're trying to grow this podcast. We want to grow, our eyes out there, and hopefully people can see what we're doing, especially out in the Midwest, 317. We're going to be hitting up conventions. We're going to hit up, comic book shops, making sure everything's posted online. We're going to be doing a damn thing, so hopefully y'all enjoy what we're going to put out there.
Thanks. That was a pretty nice introduction of yourself, sir. I'm pretty sure you already got 1 million fans right now, just based on that introduction alone. But I want to get into this Avengers trailer. I think that it's looking pretty crazy right now, and I don't know how I feel about this compassionate Thanos. Right now I'm reading Thanos, and I'm just looking into Thanos, and I just don't see any compassion. But yet once met a Thanos who was compassionate about anything. I'm pretty sure my man got like 5 kids right now, so he should at least, if he was gonna feel something about them 5 kids. But he really don't care. I'm pretty sure one of his kids is replaceable parts. So I just don't know if I like that idea.
Man, I'll be honest with you. I don't know too much about Thanos besides what you've told me and what I've seen, sparingly in the books. But I do know, I agree with what you said. He does seem like a little different of a character. I don't really, him seeming like he kind of really cares about what's going on, but he's still gonna kill everybody at the same time.
And I just don't see how you can be like, yeah, I'm coming in here to murder the whole block. But I'm doing it for love, though, really.
And even then, he said he's only gonna half of humanity would be erased. Which, I mean, why keep half? What's the half that he wants to keep?
Is it the good half? Is it the bad half? Who's to say what's good or bad if he murdering people? And then they got Cap catching his hand with the Infinity Gauntlet on it. Now I'm pretty sure he didn't have all the stones on there, but I don't know, man. I mean, is Cap really that strong? You did say that you know a little something about my man Cap.
I don't know. He's not galactic strong. That doesn't make any sense. Even with only he had 3 stones in the gauntlet at that time, I believe.
And I think so.
So I don't understand that.
Is my man Cap all Cap?
I know you want him to look strong if he does, because everybody thinks Cap is going to die for sure. And, on the other side of real life, Chris Evans' contract is running out, so him dying makes a little bit of sense. But for him to square up with Thanos is a little off-putting. And
seems like a stretch.
And I got a couple friends that said they think the whole team is going to get wiped out. One of my buddies said, Spider-Man for sure. And I'm just like, damn, man, come on now. I don't even know about all that.
I mean, and they are also coming out with the New Mutants. I think it comes out this year, too.
Man, that's a lot coming out.
Could be making room for some other people to fight Thanos if he's supposed to be the main villain right now.
Yeah, we still got this is only part 1. They got part 2 coming out next year. They haven't even gave that a name anymore. It was Avengers Infinity War Part 2, and now it's just Avengers, I believe. So I don't even understand where they're gonna head with this. I think there's gonna be end of the movie. I don't think it's gonna be a cliffhanger like they do a lot of the films where you're really gonna be left hanging in terms of what's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be a resolution. One of my buddies said he thinks that everybody is gonna die, but there's gonna be a little shift in time with the gauntlet. Stones are gonna power up and everything's gonna reset. So maybe there's gonna be a little bit of a internal reboot in the universe that they've already built to set up something else. A different Captain America, a different,
it's easy
everybody.
to do that too, especially considering right now what's going on in the comic book universe. I mean, Cap is working for Hydra here and there. He been brainwashed like 14 times. He could really be anybody at this point as far as we know.
And he still got we got Captain Marvel coming out this year, next year. We got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is coming out in a few years. So it's a lot on the way, but right now, and it's funny because you would think after 10 years of these movies, we would just kind of be used to it and the hype would die down. But every time I see one of these trailers, I get a little more excited than I did for the last one. And even like with Black Panther, I tried to stay away from all those, which that ended up being a great movie and one of the highest selling movies right now. So I think Avengers is even going to break that just based off of hype. But some people might kill me for that opinion, but it's pretty crazy where the franchise is headed. Where really just where it's going, not even just where it's headed.
I think too. What also I'm excited about is the fact that now that Fox and Sony did that deal, or no,
Fox and Disney are together, but Sony, they letting them use Spider-Man.
But because of that, now what I'm really excited about is a Thanos Deadpool collaboration, because
it's possible
they run in the same circles a lot, And with Thanos's kill or be killed attitude, it almost makes sense to put him in a movie like that, rated R, and then you can kind of let him be who he is supposed to be, rather than trying to make him a relatable character, which I'm never gonna let that die. So
I mean, it's funny you say that, because with the rated R, with Disney about to be owning, all the movie properties that Fox has had for the past, over a decade or two. Are they gonna let those R movies really stand out? We got, Deadpool 2 is coming out this year, but that's still a Fox movie, and I would think it's gonna do well enough to be able to have a third, a trilogy sequel. So, it's gonna be interesting if they are gonna let, more R-rated movies get out there, like another Ghost Rider or something like that, a Spawn or anything. Are they gonna expand, the Netflix universe that they built? Are they gonna, accompany that with the, cinematic, movie screen universe, or even, where we get, different, cartoons. I don't know where we could lead with that, but
it's just real interesting, all the possibilities that come with just that one thing of them coming to an agreement, working together, and it just I don't know, man. It's just really interesting to see, like
I agree,
where it's gonna go from this point.
And it's funny because in the world we've lived in for so long, where we've always been like, oh man, I wish I could see Spider-Man, and me personally, I've always wanted Spider-Man and the X-Men to team up on the movie screen, and we're getting closer to that being a possibility. But then when we do get it, we're never really satisfied anyway. So
Still want more. Can't get enough. Can't stop, won't stop.
Because I know personally, like, and you've joked about this a lot of times, where they've done so many Spider-Man reboots, you kind of just like, man, I don't even know if I care anymore. But Homecoming is definitely the best Spider-Man. It's up there with Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man is definitely one
Toby.
of those characters where you could be like, I don't really know if I care about that. And then they drop a movie, like, damn, I really actually hold it. I care about that. Wait a second. I want to see what Spidey is talking about.
And, when you talk about caring about, moving a little bit back to talking about Netflix caring about characters, because I honestly haven't even watched any of the Netflix series. I watched Daredevil. I watched about 3-4 episodes a day, and I was just like, man, I can't even do it. It was just so slow. And it's gotten to a point now where Jessica Jones season 2 is out, and Luke Cage season 2 is coming out. I haven't seen any of that. And
my thing about that is, like, I kind of care because the characters are a little bit more relatable, because they not as, I guess I say, like, famous as like
famous,
Iron
or
Man,
kind of even as much of a comic book
so
sense. They're not as glitter and glam.
To see them, especially like for like Luke Cage, or even for like Jessica Jones, where you got you got a woman who is leading this show and it's doing these numbers like that, or you got a African American that's really out here showing, broadening the horizons a little bit,
the scope.
But with that being said, the show still kind of need to be interesting if you want me to watch it.
Yeah.
And for me, Luke Cage was kind of boring. I couldn't watch Daredevil.
You're the first person I heard say that.
It wasn't that it was just like boring, but he's just not an exciting character. Like, he ain't really doing a whole bunch where you just like, damn, I need to see what Luke Cage has got going on. Or like, he's just a regular guy, which I guess is cool, but
yes,
at the same time,
there's different levels to the regular Joe superhero.
So it's just kind of like, I'm just, and even with like Iron Fist, that's cool. And Iron Fist is one of my favorites in terms of like Marvel superheroes, where especially like the ones that don't get a whole lot of play. But they got my man Danny on there whiny. Every other night he don't know if he got the Iron Fist or if he do got the Iron Fist.
Like the Naruto of the Marvel universe.
And it's just tiresome. The fact that they just kind of, it's almost like they trying to give him the light, but they trying to downplay him a little bit as to not take away the spotlight from the cinematic universe. It's like, I mean, I'm gonna go to the movies and watch a good movie regardless.
I agree.
If I'm at the crib, I want to watch a good show at the crib. If that's what you're gonna give me. But I just feel like, give me something, make it exciting, draw me in.
And speaking of draw me in, there's something nowadays that I would say is a little hard to draw me in is conventions, comic conventions, anime conventions. I've been to San Diego a couple times. I've been to Lexington Convention when that first started a couple times. I've been to Anime Central in Chicago a few times, really several. And, after a while, which I know you haven't been, at any conventions just yet. Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird because after a while you kind of, you're going to see the same, artists maybe that travel around the country, or the same, local artists if you keep going, or you're going to see the same, convention guests, which a lot of people think that's cool. When I first started going to conventions, I saw I was really going for the Power Rangers a lot, and they really made Lexington Convention pretty big, and they have Power Morphicon in California, which I haven't been to yet. But it's just crazy because it gets to a point where with me, who's been to a few, I really have to be attached to maybe the guest, or a lot of it really just has to do with the price, because you can spend anywhere between $30 to $100 something on a ticket just walk around, and you may know some people, may not know some people, spend a couple $100 more. I haven't even really been to maybe one convention in Indiana, the Wizard World a few years ago, and that was just, I was lucky because I got those tickets for free, and that was just horrible to me. I ended up spending some money on some toys, but in terms of like a layout, it was pretty bare bones. But I guess excuse me. I was thinking, because we're gonna go to Indiana Comic Con. This is end of March. We're going on March 31st, Saturday. I know this is gonna be your first experience with a convention. You've been in the comic book realm a little bit, about a year or so now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my feet wet, I guess, so to speak. I mean, I'm pretty interested in it, and I'm pretty hype about going, especially because, like you said, this is my first time.
And the first time's definitely the best.
I just like the idea that it's a little more like comic central, because like you said, I mean, you got Power Ranger Con, and you got Gen Con, and Kubla Con. No, it's just a bunch of different ones, and it's such a wide variety of things that you could do in terms of like cosplay and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it just really seems like a good time to me, and I am a little more interested in it because it is comic book centralized, or it's a little more focused.
Yeah, and that's what's kind of goofy with it, because I couldn't really go back in the history or anything, but there's always, there's been conventions since, God knows when. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like, geek conventions, it's like the Star Wars and Star Trek is probably what I would think that really got it big, Dungeons and Dragons and stuff back in the 80s or whatever. But nowadays, with like the big conventions, like I was talking about San Diego, that's such like a pop culture thing. It's not even just comic books anymore. Like a lot of the big stuff is the movies. I mean, yeah, the Avengers movies, be big, or Batman or something, Superman, but it's so widespread now. And it's funny because at least when growing up in the 90s, early 2000s, there's always that stigma about oh man, those conventions, blah blah blah, or comic books are for kids, video games for kids, but it's adults that grew up in that era, and they're the ones that are paying the money for this stuff. And Star Wars is gone for so many decades, or
and I mean, honestly,
heroes.
I don't care about dressing up, but who doesn't like to dress up? I mean, you got
fun,
when you can be a character and nobody is gonna be like, hey man, you look goofy as that character, because everybody else is in character. So it's like, oh, okay, that's cool, I can be whoever you want to be. And I mean, I've seen like articles on like BuzzFeed and stuff where it's people that, it's regular everyday people that's just going to, like you said, to like San Diego Comic Cons and stuff just for the dressing up aspect. Really. Yeah, just because, they want to put on a little cosplay action.
Yeah. And I've done cosplay a few times. I've done I've done the Deca Ranger, or I can't even, wow, that's horrible. I can't even think of his name on the English version, but from Power Rangers SPD, I did that one time or two times, and I've done a Racerhead from My Hero Academia at ACEN last year, and that was cool. But it's in cosplay is so crazy because it's turned into almost like that's almost bigger than the convention, because you want to see who's able to make the craziest costume, or who's really just willing to put the time in, or who's willing to spend a lot of money, because a lot of people that's dedication, the people that do do it,
because a lot of that stuff you gotta make yourself. A lot. It's not like you can just get on, which you can, especially like you said now, because it's blowing up a little bit more and more people want to do it. So the animes and the different shows they have merch, specific to a character, so you can kind of get into that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when it's not a big show, if your favorite show is something that everybody is not watching, it's not a popular one right now. You're almost
forced to do it on your own.
You gotta make it. You gotta. If it's something specific, you're not just about to go to the store and find a Transformer costume. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to get some cardboard
it's cool to
boxes.
See them though.
Yeah, and make that, and then at the end result, when this guy takes a cardboard box that he found in a dumpster up the street, and he come in here looking like Bumblebee, and it's like folding up. It's like, damn, man, you can really feel the passion and enjoy that, not just as a spectator, but just
as a lover of the medium, and this was crazy. Is cosplay, it really is a lot about, a lot of people focus on it for the entertain, the kids that are at the conventions, especially like people that do like Spider-Man, all the like, I don't want to say generic, heroes, but the ones that everybody knows, ones that kids know from TV.
Yeah, the popular ones, Captain America's, Batman,
Iron Man now. It's crazy because, when I first was seeing them, like, even like Halo costumes were pretty big. And you see, the electronic stuff that they will put in the suit, or Darth Vader suits with the lights and the, the Darth Vader breathing in the mask. Like, it's so crazy. But, obviously I'm older now, so and I've, seen so many conventions where I'm almost immune to it, where it's like, it's still cool, but it's like, man, I've seen it. And that's almost a shame because, them people that, are in the suit, they, they put their heart and soul into what they got and what they made. And I'm almost like brushing it off at this point because I might have seen, 100 Darth Vaders by now, or Deadpool was the biggest thing for like a year or two. That was almost... God forbid I want to see that again.
Yeah, and that kind of upsets me too because, Deadpool is definitely one of my favorites, probably top 2, if not 1. And it's kind of like a gift and a curse almost because I want him to get the popularity. I like that he's getting a buzz. Like now it's not just but at the same time, it's like, damn, man, where was y'all at when he wasn't getting a buzz? Where was y'all at before Childish Gambino Donald Glover was gonna do an animated series for it, even though I'm pretty sure they're saying that they're scrapping it now. I don't know if you heard that.
I did see that.
Yeah, he tweeted out the script, or like a piece of the script.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. I'll check it out right now.
Because I guess the way what I was reading, the way that they was making it seem like was that he was doing too much. He was just a busy guy. And
he had too much work on his plate. He's got
too much on his plate right now with Atlanta and the Star Wars cameo. And, but I mean, I feel like if you're going to give somebody a project, let them do it.
I'm ready to see it.
I thought that would have been cool. I think that he's the right mind for behind the scenes. Like, I feel like Ryan Reynolds makes a really good Deadpool on camera.
I don't know who you'd get better.
He could be the Deadpool off the camera. I think he got the capacity or the potential to make it pretty good, especially considering how clever he is.
Or you mean like if you putting him on the FX show? You mean?
Yeah, just being like, writing a script and just kind of from a behind the scenes standpoint, where, like I said, you know, Ryan Reynolds is obviously the face of Deadpool right now in terms of the cinematic universe. So it would have just been interesting to see his take on that. Like I said, especially because I am a big Deadpool fan.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because I couldn't tell you when I heard about Deadpool, but just the way that like popularity rises with things, because you know Deadpool was a big cosplay everybody was doing, or you're always gonna see, you know, people doing the Saiyans from Dragon Ball, or like I said, trying to do Transformers or Power Rangers, or you know, Naruto, stuff that, you know, and a lot of people will do the easy stuff, just, you know, just to be out there and have fun. Which at the end of the day, if you're not going to conventions to have fun for whatever reason, then there's really no point in going, because what's the point of just looking at people? But you know, I've gone to, you know, I go to ASIN a lot of times, and I really am just kind of people watching, just because I am with my friends, which that's gonna make, you know, Indiana Comic Con fun, is being around friends, and the convention center is always pretty cool with conventions. So it's just the experience. When I go to the conventions, though, you know, when you want to soak it in is one thing I tell you, because you're going to see all the different artists, and you're going to see stuff. You're going to be like, man, that's crazy. Like how people, you know, people just whipping up quick sketches, you know what I'm saying, within an hour, putting, you know, selling their stuff. And that's one thing I feel bad about, is because when you are almost in a way limited by money, you almost feel bad because you want to support so many different people, but at the same time, you're like, man, if I spend all my money on this guy, I ain't gonna have money for, you know, her over there, or, you know, especially with up and coming people that's really trying, you know, make a name for themselves, or even the ones that are just, once again, they're doing it for fun, but you know, they set up those booths every year to, you know, show off what they're working on, or, you know, they maybe have a comic book that is dope, and how many people are gonna notice, you know, somebody has to buy it and spread the word. And nowadays, it's almost a shame if something isn't spread because of social media. And even...
Oh, my bad. No, I wasn't.
But even, I mean, and that's even the same for, like, comic books at the comic store, because, you know, there's... Obviously, we go to a comic book store every Wednesday, and, you know, there's always the faithful people that go in there, and those are the ones that keep, you know, like, I would think are keeping the stores alive and the different promotion they do. But, you know, how do you get more people to get into comic books and things like that? Because it's almost in a way you have to get them young. Because if it was for me to do it as like a older person, I don't know if I would have taken the time to, you know, take that leap into comic books, which I guess is the complete opposite of you, because you were kind of like dibble and dabble over the years.
I was, and I mean, honestly, I had comics around, but I never even read them, I guess, or even looked at them, to be honest, until, like you said, recently, where I just felt like, I don't know, it just was a nice little change of pace, or something else for me to do and like get to know the characters that I like a little bit more in depth. Because I mean, it's a lot of different events going on in terms of like Secret Empire, and you got like Dark Knight Metals going on right now, so it's real easy for you to find a character and travel down a bunch of different roads with this one character without even like looking at multiple books or buying multiple books, you know, because it's a vast world.
Yeah, and that's one thing I did want to bring up too, is with comic books, you know, getting into it late, because, you know, as my favorite superhero, Spider-Man, he's been around since the 60s, and there's just so much you can read, and there's so many different, you know, timelines. You know, recently they put in Miles Morales, and he was in the Ultimate series, and then they merged both worlds, and now they, you know, they coexist. And I know you like reading Scarlet Spider, and it's just so much out there, and it's it's almost intimidating in a way because you kind of have to just pick that one.
There's so
thing.
many channels that you don't know what to watch. It's like, you first sign up for DirecTV and they give you like 400 channels and you don't end up watching nothing because you're just looking at the guide trying to find something.
It's almost like a comfort zone because once again, it's almost about that money too because, you spend up $3, $4, $5 on a book. You go in there, you try to get a couple of this, couple of that. You done spent $20 already.
Just trying to keep up with a certain event or a certain series. You could easily spend $50-$60 just in one trip if you're not paying attention. You grab 5 or 6 books and you already hit about $40. So but at the same time, it's also cool because you can just get one, and still it's easy for you to just grab, the first couple issues and get to know what's going on in that specific timeline or whatever you're reading at the time without like having to backtrack and get the whole series from the beginning.
Yeah.
Or, where they got like volumes if you just want to try to quickly catch up, but then get the rest of the series as it's ongoing. It's a lot easier for you to be like into a specific thing without having to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But it's also easy to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
It is. And, and I guess in a lot of ways you can just kind of get on Wikipedia or something, or even like the official websites might give you some breakdowns every now and then about different characters you into. And it's always tough because, well, I shouldn't say it's always tough. It's kind of like you say, you can always just jump into a series. But I know recently, like I started reading Batman Detective Comics, and I was grabbing one issue. It's up in the 900s, high 900s right now. I'm like, shoot, man, this is a cool story. They got Tim Drake, coming back into the real world, and I'm like, man, crap, I want to figure out where they was before this, and I got to figure out where they before this. And sometimes, if you miss out on a book and one's hot, you done missed it. I got to order from eBay or something, and now I'm spending more money because my problem is, and I've always had this problem, is I've just been a collector. So dumb stuff like rocks and, comic books, action figures, there's different stuff, and I feel like if I don't have most of it, then I'm just missing out, and now my wallet's hurting.
And I'm not gonna recommend, I'm always gonna say you should support the artist or the actual comic. Just keep things going, especially or like going down to the comic book store, or your local comic book store. But at the same time, just if you wanted to catch up, or if you missed the issue, there's tons of ways for you to go online and read them if that's what you into. And like I said, I ain't saying forget going to the store, because for me, I don't mind reading it online if I have to, if it's an issue that I missed. But at the same time, it's just something about that paper, just having that book in your hand, and
gotta have the official,
being able to be like, yo, I got the whole series right here and read this part of it at this time, or I think it's just like you said, just being kind of a collector and just wanting to have that physical copy rather than, having it
internet,
online.
Man. I don't like reading on tablets and, web browsers and stuff. It's not the same. And one thing I'll tell you is easy. One way to get into comic books is just seeing that art. Because right now, man, Amazing Spider-Man, like just the cover art is so crazy. I don't know if you ever heard of Alex Ross before. But
I don't think so.
If you look at those Spider-Man covers, it's like, I don't understand how people have that ability just to do that art. And that's this type of stuff that'll draw you in, and then it leads you into the writing of the stories and really learning about the characters.
And I think that's another thing too about like when you're reading it online, or if you actually have the book. Like I feel like if it's a nice picture, which there's tons of good art throughout, comics, whatever you read, and it don't have to be like Marvel, even like Boom and other little baby Dark Horse and things that you don't necessarily hear about, but
there's
if
so
you
much out there.
it's cool to actually have that copy and like that's like a piece of art right there in your hand. You know what I mean? Like if you was able to get a little mini copy of a Picasso painting, that would be cool if you was into art. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if you like comics, that's basically like being into art. It's a nice little artwork with a little decent story, you know, keep you intrigued. It's not just, like I said, you know, you can just put it off to the wayside or just be like, oh, well, I'm not going to buy it. I'm just going to get online and read it, which, like I said, if that's what you into, it's cool. But that actual physical copy in your hand, or like going to your local comic book store on Wednesday, like, and did you get that new issue of so and so? It's just something exciting about like just getting into that part of it too.
Yeah, and it's funny because I know sometimes I kind of, you know, turn into like a hype beast on books, because you might, you know, see and they're like, oh, you can only get one of this issue. You're like, damn, man, I don't even really read this, but you know, maybe that cover is tight, or they got the variant covers, or you know, you don't want to miss out on something. But then that digs me in the hole. I'm getting into a whole nother series, and now I gotta figure out, man, am I gonna commit to this one? I already got 3, 4, 5, whatever other storylines I'm going through, trying to learn these names, learn these characters. Because I know I got that Thanos book the other day just because it said it was limited one, and I ain't even read it yet.
And I was just gonna say, and I mean, at the same, along with that, it's like it's cool because, I mean, so let's say, you know, that's the only copy that you got, or you just decided you wanted to get that copy because you like the cover art. Well, you know, some years down the line, somebody might be looking for that, or, you know, if you go into the comic book store and it's a certain thing that you want, you might be able to swap it out because now you got this limited one, and it ain't like you're not gonna read it, because I mean, you could easily read it and not really worry about it, put it in the plastic and slide it back with the rest of your comics without even batting an eye, you know. And now next thing you know, it's worth $200 because
you never know. And somebody, it's just like having that history too. Because then you like, you never know what it's gonna be worth one day, or just having that first edition. And that's one thing, you know, you go on eBay, and the big difference between a you know, first print, a second print, a third print is just so vast in like price and stuff. So it's like, man, I don't want to miss out on this. And sometimes they put out the art for the second or third issue. It's not even the same thing. It's not
totally
even
different.
Good. Like, man, come on, man. Like, I don't even want to mess with that now. But you know, but then sometimes I don't want to have to get the first issue because I didn't waited too long. And that mug's, you know, if it's more than $20, I'm dang near not even about to mess with
Probably not. Because like you said, I mean, when, you know, it does come back down to you being a collector, but are you really willing to, you know what I mean, collect it? Because that's a lot of money for, I don't know, like book, 15 minutes, right? 15 minutes of reading. It ain't like it's a novel.
And that's where like that history comes in, you know, because you just don't want to miss out on that event. Because that's why, you know, a lot of people wait for the trade books to come out, like you said, to get the big volumes of a storyline. I'm like, man, you know, obviously it's the same story, it's the same art, but it's kind of like being in that moment and just having it when it's going on. And it kind of relates to even like when the movies come out and you're like, oh man, they did this so long ago, or they trying to adapt this. It's not even the same thing.
Because like right now, I'm trying to keep up with this Doctor Strange Damnation event, and it is occurring right after Secret Empire. And you know, things aren't looking so great in Vegas, and Doctor Strange is trying to clean it up. And I had to wait like 3 weeks basically to get an issue from like last week. Just because it just so happened to be a thing that everybody is trying. This is an event that everybody seems to be interested in, which is pretty interesting. Is cool. It's definitely, I would recommend it if you were asking for my opinion. You know, you might not be.
Yeah, and I know I just had to go back and buy like probably 5 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, and I probably did pay close to like $40 on eBay for like 5 different issues just because I missed out, like, you know, the first print.
But I think that's one of those things where like you're willing to sacrifice because, for one, it's an event that you want to have the whole series of.
Yeah.
You want to have each piece of it, like you said, that piece of history. And two, I mean, if that's something that you like, you know what I mean, you're gonna want to put a little more effort into being able to get it. I mean, if that means that you have to, you know, like you say, get on eBay, because I don't have to get on eBay a couple of times, and I'm a newcomer to collecting comics. You know what I mean? So it's not just that you like, oh, I gotta get on eBay because I ain't never gonna be able to find this again, or I ain't getting on eBay because it costs too much money. But it's just like, you know, if you willing to invest, if you really want that piece of history, because I mean, yeah, it's gonna come back around, because pretty much everything is history is a circle, so you know it'll always be around, I guess. But like you said, it's just like living in that specific moment where you are a part of that, because you know what's going on, and you know, like I say, you in that time.
Yeah, you want to be able to say like, I know about this and stuff, because like my father-in-law, he used to read books back in the day, like probably the 80s, early 90s, and he's always like, oh man, that ain't even the same way it used to be, man, in these movies and da-da-da-da. Like, man, I don't even want to hear it dang near. But it's like, you know, but that was his time, you know, and that's what he liked back then. But and that's what the thing, and that's what's funny is people get so upset when the stories change, and you know, characters might change a little because the writers are doing something different. But you know, if a character's been around for so long, like if he's doing the same thing all the time, or if he's still the same person after so many traumatic events, like, you know, what are we even really reading for?
Cough, cough, old man Logan. Cough, cough.
Hater on X-Men.
But I mean, you know, I agree with you though, and it's just one of those things where I forgot what I was about to say, and I just completely lost my train of thought. So my cosign in this particular section is not actually a cosign. It was just a little blather. No,
but that takes it back to the convention, because I know right now we're gonna go to the Indiana Comic-Con, and you know, I don't even really have like a goal of going there, so besides having fun. I want to see, you know, the couple Power Rangers that are going to be there. But in terms of, like, buying stuff, whatever kind of just catches my eye at the time, you know, try to stay within that budget. Because right now I'm kind of getting back into Green Lantern Corps books. So, and there's a couple I missed of those. So hopefully I can find somebody with those, or, you know, hope somebody didn't already get them, you know, before I get there. If I see some action figures I've been looking for, really some like Marvel Legends and stuff, because there's almost like sneaker drops with action figures. You gotta be on the same day with those.
You gotta be on there.
But and it's gonna be cool. You know, I guess in a way cool to have you coming, because I want you to kind of just get that experience. You know, because you might be like, man, I don't even like going to conventions.
Never going back.
You know, one reason why I know I hate going to conventions sometimes is because even like the stereotype of, you know, geeky people not having good hygiene, because I done been to a couple conventions. I done walked into some crop dusting areas.
That's rough. Nothing worse than the crop dust, I'm not gonna lie to you.
And that's what's kind of funny about it, you know, going to conventions, is you do see like the diversity of people that are into different things. Because in that world we've lived in for so long, where people just kind of don't bring it up, because it's not like, you know, being a nerd or a geek is not necessarily like who you are all the way as a person, or, you know, you might only be into like one thing that's considered that way. So when that does pop up, you're like, oh man, they got stuff that, you know, they do that with. Because that's how it was for Power Rangers. Like, I didn't even know it was like a scene like that, and I had already been to San Diego and everything, but for some reason that was just so different for me, because Power Rangers had like kind of went on the boom because of the convention scene, and there's this whole new uprising of that popularity, and that popularity with Power Rangers, or even with like the movies being out now. That's what's really, I think that's like the main reason conventions are where they're at, because it's just in everybody's face so much. And right now, you know, we see so many people like, oh man, you going to that convention this week? Or you going to that convention over there? Like, I heard about such and such. You going to that? And it's like, man, you know, I understand. They know I'm like the resident, you know, nerd or whatever. It's like, you know, I can't do it all, or I don't want to necessarily go to all of them. It's like I like basketball, but I don't necessarily want to play basketball every day or go to every game.
And it's like, it's just like you said, I mean, geek and nerd, you don't have to necessarily be into stereotypical nerdy things. You can nerd out about anything, really. I mean, I just feel like if that's one of the things, like you said, if you like basketball and that's one of the things that you into, you could nerd out about basketball. You could know each person's stat line and, the analytical side of it. It's a lot more than just, than just, turning on the TV and like, oh, LeBron on, I guess I'm a sports nerd now. Like, I mean, you can just read one comic. You don't have to automatically be considered that type of person just because you want to read a comic book. Because, I mean, really, comics are super cool, so why wouldn't you? But, I mean, that is also another opinion that you might not have asked for.
And one thing I know I'm probably going to end up looking for, we were talking about not on recording. It's talking about Steven Universe, and hopefully I can find somebody that has like all the episodes on disc, on a bootleg, as you want to call it, or anybody wants to call it. But sometimes that's the only way to get certain things, because even with Japanese Super Sentai,
that
Power
just
Rangers.
goes back to being in that moment, and sometimes it's hard, especially like with a show. There's so many shows that you want to watch right now, or that you might be interested in. There's so much TV or so much, like you said, being put in your face all the time. So new movie about to come out. Just like the Avengers come out, and then like 2 weeks later, Deadpool is coming out. So it's just right there in your face constantly. There's always a new drop of like this or good, that. So
bittersweet thing.
It's hard for you to be like, I need to, I'm going to watch this episode tonight. It's coming on at 6 o'clock, and this is when I'm going to watch it. And then, next thing you know, 6 o'clock, and you might have passed out. You missed it, and you can't, everybody don't have TiVo. Like you said, you gotta
YouTube it.
You gotta get that bootleg, or get on YouTube, or whatever the options that there are. I mean, because there are lots of sneakily options. And I mean, if you a nerd, you might actually know about those backdoor deals.
Know somebody with the speakeasy of nerd life.
Get that underground railroad action.
And and another thing that's cool, and really going to conventions, it's just like that chilling out part. Because after a while, you're like, man, I done walked so much, I done seen everything. Like, what else am I gonna do? What else am I gonna see? Like, sometimes you do kind of walk around, you're like, oh man, I didn't even see that last time. Like, man, when they get there, they put out some stuff all late on the last day, or they might switch up the deals and blah, 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 blah. Which I don't even want to get into all that, because I'll be done mess myself up, money wise. But hopefully the convention's gonna be cool. We know a lot of people going and all that stuff, but I think it's gonna be a good time.
I do too. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm pretty excited about what's going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm pretty excited about Marvel Comic Universe. I haven't really, like, when I first got into comics, I was buying, I guess, a little more DC than Marvel. I was getting like Green Arrow, and I was keeping up with that kind of stuff. And right now, I guess I just been on a Marvel binge, I guess.
Yeah, and I've been on the opposite, which is funny. Because I really grew up always more so into, really, and I don't even want to say I was more into Marvel, but I feel like during the 90s, it was kind of like even, because they both had their show. Like Batman had a show, and Superman and Spider-Man had the show, and of course X-Men. And then going in 2000, there was the Justice League cartoons and Teen Titans. That kind of like became what was like the popular superhero shows, Static Shock and all that. And reading comic books, obviously, like I always say, I'm just defaulting to Spider-Man because he's my favorite. But lately, I've been getting into more DC, like Green Arrow and Justice League and Batman. And it's the differences in like tone is what's so funny. And everybody says the debate right now of will DC movies ever be good again or decent, because all of them basically done flopped in a way. And I thought Justice League was a good enough movie for me to watch it.
And I ain't even gonna lie, I have not watched it, and I don't know if it's because I'm not interested or if it's because everybody is like, Justice League, that's boom boom. DC stinks. And I mean, I think that DC definitely gets a bad rap in terms of movies. I mean, it's not like they're not trying, but I feel like they put so much focus on the core group, like the Justice League. It's, it's too much. DC got too much other stuff that they could be like, here's a movie for this. They tried one movie, it flopped, and they was like, well, shit, we ain't never doing that again.
Yeah,
so
and I haven't seen Wonder Woman yet, and they said that was probably like the best one they've had, I guess.
What's crazy, I think, really is that if you are really a fan, you would know that DC is killing the game in terms of like animated movies. I mean, it's lots of cool animated DC.
It's been over 10, 15 years of
and I really can't think of. I mean, I ain't saying that Marvel don't have none, but I mean, not like at the caliber, like that DC is bringing to the table. So I mean, I guess you just kind of gotta. It's a give and take kind of situation where Marvel is killing it in the movies right now. So
and it's funny because I mean they always got the shows on Disney XD or whatever now with the Marvel shows, and I try to watch them, but I think it's because they cater to the kids so much, and which nothing's wrong with that. I'm a Power Ranger fan, and freaking Steven Universe and blah da da da. But I guess it's like where's that middle ground for the older viewers and everything? Because with like Justice League, Unlimited, the old Teen Titans, those had like a nice like range where kids could like them or the older fans could like it too. And I feel like Marvel cartoons, they don't really focus on that at all. And I guess they're like, the movies can do that.
Yeah, that's what the movies is for. And that's back to what I said, where you got so much effort from this part that you kind of got to slack on this other part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's with anything, not just, Marvel and DC or comics or whatever your options are. I mean, so it's just one of those things where,
And I feel like with DC and with the movies that they are putting out, and they said they're going to make a Cyborg movie, and I mean, Aquaman's supposed to come out this year, which I'm going to see it just because, I'm interested to see how it's gonna work out. I thought Jason Momoa is cool as Aquaman in Justice League, but it's not like I'm not overly excited. The biggest thing I know, you really hype on Deadpool 2. Everybody's gonna see that. R-rated stuff, whatever. Avengers is gonna be hype. Black Panther was tight. I know you was like, it's cool.
And I mean, I liked Black Panther. It wasn't that I didn't think or I thought that it was just like mediocre or anything. I mean, the only real problem for me was that it was an origin story. You know what I mean? So it could have been a lot more action had it been like Black Panther 2 or you know what I mean? Whereas like now he about to go fight in Infinity Wars. That's cool. You know what I mean? If it was like a piece to that puzzle, it might have been a little bit more enticing, but I mean, in terms of a movie overall, it was a good movie.
And I've heard other people say that too, where they're like, "Oh man, I wish there was a little more action and stuff." Which I thought that when I was watching the movie, but I feel like the tone that Ryan Coogler, the director, was going for, he was going for more like that psychological movie. It's not like it was like crazy psychological, but just in terms of making people think and making people realize what he was really trying to talk about.
And you kind of gotta do that with an origin story because there isn't a lot of action in telling you how somebody got started. Now, I mean, if you were talking about the Hulk or something where it was a big explosion, obviously that's something you could turn into
out there,
you could turn that into a big thing. But I mean, Black Panther, it's a lot of tradition behind that where, you got to go through different trials and tribulations before you can even be the Black Panther. So it's a lot more story than it is actual like, oh, I'm about to fight so-and-so or, specific villains that people want to see. I mean, you got to think about it in terms of like time where you got to give everybody a little time to grow. I mean, you don't just start off as a full bloomed flower, you know what I mean? You gotta be a seedling first.
Yeah, you gotta, and that's what's weird. Like, in terms of like, you know, and I see what you're saying, being like an origin story, and they kind of bridge the gap with the Civil War inclusion of him and with Spider-Man, and with you know, a lot of people, the best thing about Black Panther to a lot of people is Killmonger, you know, Michael B. Jordan's character, which I thought his acting was subpar, but in terms of like the point of what he was doing, you know, and the character, and you know, the goal that he had and the goal that, you know, Panther had, which, you know, it just went well together. But, you know, and talking about like with Spider-Man, who was in Civil War with him too, being introduced, and that being a, you know, him coming from Sony being a big thing, and they didn't really waste anybody's time, you know, being like, oh man, who's Spider-Man, like da da da. They just like got to the action with Spider-Man. Like he comes in to fight first thing, you know, and then Homecoming comes out, and which I think that's the best Spider-Man movie. Which, did you watch Spider-Man Homecoming all the way?
I still have not watched Spider-Man
fake
Homecoming
fan.
all the way. I'm not gonna lie, because it's only because
It's been so many.
It's been so damn many. Spider-Man 1,
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2, 3, 4.
And I didn't watch the Amazing movies because I don't know, when those first came out, I was like, oh man, they're going for like a different tone, like, oh, this is gonna be kind of cool. But then they was kind of making them like this vigilante thing, which, you know, I'll leave that to, you know, Batman and stuff. Like, I don't, you know, Spider-Man does his own thing, but I don't really want to call him a vigilante.
I don't think so. I think Spider-Man I definitely wouldn't define him as a vigilante. And maybe I would be a little more eager to watch Homecoming had I not watched
those movies.
The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I definitely watched both of those.
That's definitely something. I need to watch it again because I haven't seen it since it was in theater, so we got to definitely watch that. But I know one reason why I didn't mess with the Amazing Spider-Man was 2 with Jamie Foxx was in that one, right? And I was like, all I saw was like the like promotional picture, and I'm like, man, what is this dude doing? Like, why he got the glasses all crooked and stuff?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the context that was. I'm like, man, it just looks like they going, like, this is a weird,
Just some random stuff.
yeah. Like I was like, all right, man, I'm cool.
And like I said, you know, with an origin story again, because that was definitely another one, you know, where they was just rebooting it. It's like, I mean, how many times do I have to hear Uncle Ben getting shot in the hallway of the convention center? Like, how many times do he get blasted? Because I mean, my manson got shot like 4 times at this point. Man, he like the 50 Cent of Marvel Universe. At least cinematically speaking.
Only person never to come back, which
But
I think
he'll never come back,
true.
but he keep coming back somehow. And somehow we keep seeing him get shot. So I'm kind of confused. Like, I mean, is he actually dead, or is it just one of those like Matrix things where it's like you see him getting shot from like 8 different angles, and the same bullet is like entering the spot the same from like 5 different shots.
And yeah, you're gonna have to definitely watch Spider-Man. But with getting back to DC movies, or just in that realm, like, you know, everybody loved Dark Knight series. 1, 2, and 3. You know, 3 is kind of weird. Bane and stuff is, I don't know. That's a good movie, but it was weird to me in a way. Justice League was cool. Superman, I just can't make myself watch them movies.
I seen one of them, and I'm not even gonna sit here and try to act like I even know which one it was. Yeah. So it'd be like it was 2, or I watched Superman when he was in the bathroom, because I don't know. I
watched him versus Batman.
And watched that one,
and that was just a confusing film. And I'm pretty sure I fell asleep close to the end. Like,
and I feel like DC they have trouble, in my opinion, with like conveying a general story.
Yeah.
Where it's like one time, you know, these movies are supposed to connect, but the stories are totally different in this movie compared to that movie.
Yeah.
Or all of a sudden,
their tone is just so weird.
All of a sudden, Bruce and Clark, they got the same named mother. I mean, are you saying that it's the same lady? Yeah. It was an accident. She just kind of popped one out, forgot about the other one. Or are you just saying that they just so happen to have the same name? And I mean, even if that's the case, is that something really that you're going to be like, oh, your mom name is Chiquita too? Wow, we best friends now. We got to be best friends. We don't have no choice.
And then, even in Justice League, they resurrect Superman. and it's just like he's just upset. And I'm just like, man, what is this? And like that was like probably like the coolest thing of like about Superman in the whole thing that I've seen was just him wrecking everybody. It's just like pure aggression. Cause to me, Superman is like boring, which that's a debate for like, you know, people that really get into Superman. But from everything I see, it's just like he has like all the powers you need. Like what can like I mean, he's only stopped by magic and you know certain little things.
Something you gotta find. You gotta find on like a planet a million light years away, tucked in the bottom of somebody's shoe, and you just so happen to detect if you got the right equipment, which you pretty much got to be Batman to even have the right equipment, or like Lex Luthor or somebody where obviously that's a villain of his. So of course he's gonna have that one thing. That's gonna be like, I'm hurt. Because
I know one reason is in Superman Returns. I don't know if you've seen that one, but he had got to the point where he was like, they basically Lex Luthor like threw a whole like island of kryptonite on top of him. And he just like does like a whole push up and just like lifts it in the air. I'm just like, this doesn't even make sense to me at all. Like, how do you just overcome a whole like island?
And ain't that supposed to be the thing that makes you weak? So if it's a huge big block of it, it's gonna be crushing you and making you weak at the same time. So like, how would you even be able to get it off you?
Like, and that's the thing. Like, where it's like, yeah, it's a comic book thing, but come on, man. Like, I can't get into this.
I mean, but even just like if you look at it, like, I mean, I've seen Superman get shot by like a kryptonite bullet, you know what I mean? And he's not able to dig it out himself. Yeah. It's like he can be like, oh, I got this bullet in me. Hold on, y'all. I got to get it out. Like somebody else got to do it. So if he can't even get a bullet, like extract a small bullet out of his body, which I'm sure he can see because last time I checked, he got X-ray vision or some form of it. I'm pretty sure. So, you know, it's like he's limited, but he's not limited at the same time, and I think that makes a weird combination in terms of a superhero or just this one person who can do all things but also cannot do anything.
And a lot of people, like I just heard some people talking the other day on YouTube about Superman on one of my shows I watch, and you know a lot of people like Superman because he's like which him and Batman kind of have a similarity in a sense where you know Superman is you know obviously he's an alien. He's always been trying to, you know, fit into the, you know, Earth world, but he obviously has an alter ego, which
very isolated.
To this day, I don't understand like what the artist or what the writers were thinking making Superman. Basically, he just looks the same in or out of costume.
I feel like that was a nod to the creators. Was like, man, the people of the world are pretty stupid. So if you throw some glasses on this guy,
have to be like
nobody's gonna recognize him. I mean, he still got the same curly Q. The Superman curly Q from his little hair never moves anywhere.
Like he's not at work.
He's not a little dude. It's like this 6 foot, 300-pound dude in a little suit at a desk trying to write an article about soap dishes. Like I don't know, man. It's less crazy to me. It doesn't make any sense.
And you know, and maybe I'll make the effort, you know, this weekend at the convention to get like a couple Superman books just to like, you know, dabble in there. You know, maybe I'll get like a trade or two. Like I know I got my nephew the Death of Superman for his birthday a few years ago, which I hope he read that damn book because I spent like $15 on it. But you know, maybe I'll just read that or just, you know, the important, you know, milestone stuff, and maybe I'll get a different opinion about Superman because, you know, and it's weird because when I see him in like a Green Arrow book or Green Lantern or something, and he's been in those recently, like, I'm like, oh, cool, it must be something, you know, big. He done popped up on the scene
Superman
real
coming
quick.
Through, so he gotta be something.
Yeah, so I'll read that, but if I'm you know, I just can't even read a whole line of stuff about him. And right now, Action Comics 1000 is coming out, which obviously the 1000th issue of Action Comics, which is Superman's, you know, first book, is coming out. And I'm like, man, I might as well just get like one of those covers, you know, because that's back to the history thing.
That's
like
just
if I
a
don't
piece
get
of
one,
that.
I'm gonna feel like an idiot, you know what I mean? Because one day that might be something really to look back to, like, damn, man, I was there, you know, and I seen all that.
I was there for that, 2017, yo, I remember that, like, that was crazy times.
And I know, like, Spider-Man's about to be close to issue 800, so that's gonna be dope. And Detective Comics is gonna be up to 1,000 soon, so that's gonna be tight. So I'm hoping, hopefully I'll stick around for all that, because I get in and out of books so much just because I'm like, man, I can't even keep doing this, like buying books all the time. Like, oh my God, I done got so many books inside my house. I'm like, man, what am I going to do with all these? End up not reading something or whatever, get something just because I like the cover and everything. Which will probably end up happening this weekend. I'm going to see a cover and be like, man, of course, just get that.
I guarantee it. And I ain't even never been to a convention.
Man, we done tangent off of movies or whatever, but with coming out this year, I shouldn't even say coming out this year, but with Justice League and moving forward, and they're talking about, I don't know if you've seen the Captain Marvel Shazam pictures with Zachary Levi. You know who that is, right? From what was that show was he on? Was it Chuck? You know what I'm talking about? It was like on maybe 10 years ago or something. You gotta look it up. There's some pictures, I'm just like, man, like, why would he just looks so corny? Like, he's like one of the people, like, I don't know why they decided he was the one to be Captain Marvel. And which is funny because he's, Shazam, blah, blah, blah. But then Captain Marvel on the Marvel side is a woman, and that is girl, I can't even think of her name right now, but I don't like how she looks as a superhero.
Brie Larson.
Yeah, Brie Larson.
Oh man, I love Brie Larson.
Dude, what? Like, have you seen her in the pictures? Like,
I think I've seen the early ones, in the big, when they was first hey, Brie Larson is gonna be doing this. Here, check out this little. She was wearing a Marvel shirt. Yeah, but not anything recent.
I'm not digging it right now. Which I've never got into Captain Marvel because that's one of those secondary characters, blah blah blah. But just looking at the photos, I'm like, man, obviously but that's with everybody, I guess. It's kind of how the suit looks and the actor and anything. So when actually see the movie in action, CG gonna lift everything up, I'll probably have a different opinion. But right now I'm just like, man, I don't know about that. And I'm still waiting on The Rock to start the Black Adam movie, because I just think that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. I would be pretty interested in seeing that. But I guess that also kind of ties into Captain Marvel, or AKA Shazam.
Yeah. And I don't know if they're gonna have. I don't think they're gonna have The Rock in that movie, which is troubling to me, because I feel like if you're gonna have that movie, The Rock would be in it.
Yeah,
mainly for money reasons.
And if that's gonna be the start, I guess because it's an origin story, but that's like his main villain. You know what I mean? It's other people, I guess, or whatever, but he basically got his powers the same way that Shazam got his. So, I don't understand how you gonna have an origin story about that and then just be like, oh, yeah, leave that part out. We'll tell you about that part later. Sorry.
Where are they gonna start Black Adam at his own solo movie? I guess they think The Rock is just gonna be, the whole thing.
They gonna film it. They gonna film it all together, and then they gonna cut the scenes out that got The Rock in it, and then they gonna just superimpose it together. Yeah, just a whole nother movie out of that movie. So
I'd be surprised if he's not in that movie. That wouldn't make sense to me if he wasn't in there, at least the latter half or whatever.
At some point, like I said, they basically got their powers the same way. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Black Adam was first before Shazam. And then Merlin or whoever it was, that magician, was like, dang boy, you done turned up the whole spot, dog. We gotta get somebody else. We need some help. And then now you got Shazam's little 12-year-old kid, so it's I don't know. And I guess it's all just speculation at this point, because they ain't really saying too much of nothing other than, we got a person who we really want to play this guy.
The whole DC line is messed up just because they like, oh yeah, we gonna make a Batgirl movie, but we gonna talk about that later though. We gonna make a Cyborg movie. We gonna make Green Lantern, but I don't know when that's gonna come out.
We tried, and it's just
which it's just crazy because with they brought out Justice League so fast. And it's like, man, if y'all are going to do Justice League, they just trying to catch up, which is probably half the reason. They went through different directors and all that stuff. But, obviously Avengers didn't got a basically 10-year head start on success.
For sure. If you're looking at it like that, DC is really just kind of getting started in terms of the cinematic universe where, like you said, I mean, it's like 6 different Batman movies just by like 2 or 3 different directors. Yeah. But, you know, they tried Green Lantern once and was like, yo, that stunk, dog. We ain't never doing that again, bro. Woo!
That's just, man, if anything's going to get a reboot, I'll let that get a reboot.
And I feel like, how can you say, okay, we about to make a Justice League movie, but not have Green Lantern in it anyway?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get it's just like the beginning of the Justice League, but I'm pretty sure Green Lantern was one of the first few in the Justice League.
And, I mean, and Cyborg is the one that's the newest in Justice League, so
Cyborg just got out of Teen Titans like last month, so I mean, how you gonna be like, nah, it's cool, bro, come on, bro. He just graduated high school. Like, he blew up in high school and got blown up like his last like high school football game, and then, you know what I'm saying, then he went to the Teen Titans or whatever, and then he came to the Justice League. Yeah, it was like, he blew up in high school and they immediately inducted him into the Justice League.
Which, I mean, that's one thing I liked about that movie, is that it was like an origin story for, like, I mean, they already had Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman established, but then, you know, Flash and Aquaman and just talking about Cyborg, they're just kind of like, well, here they are, which was like cool. I mean, obviously for people like me or whatever that already kind of seen them enough in the past in books or TV shows, it's like, all right, man, I don't have to really get like an origin on these guys, but at the same time, it's just like, man,
you gotta build, you gotta start, you gotta start from the ground up. I mean, I like what the direction that they going in, because I would like to see, you know, I want to watch a Justice League movie, or I want to see more Justice League movies, but at the same time, it could easily be just as big as the Avengers if they would have went about it differently. If they would have started off with, okay, here's a Batman movie, here's a Flash movie, you know what I'm saying, here's this guy. I mean, it takes time, but if you trying to build an empire, which is basically what they doing in terms of movies, because they already got the empire, they just don't have that specific department. You gotta build it. It's not just gonna be like, oh, Justice League came out, it's sold. I mean, you know, it's doing box office numbers like the Avengers, because it's half the cast, nobody really knows unless you are a fan. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's not just a movie like, that you can just pull up and watch. Care? Exactly. I mean, you can watch the Avengers if you wanted to just pull up and watch the Avengers 1, because most of, or at least the top guys in the Avengers already had 2 or 3 of their own movies. I mean, Thor had 2 or 3. Well, I think he had
like
one, two before the Avengers. Remember. But I mean, even still, you know, you gotta lay a little more of the groundwork before you can just jump in and be like, man, we trying to do these numbers like Marvel right now. We trying to, because I mean, like you said, man, they got a 10-year head start in terms of movies. So, of course, Justice League ain't going to match those numbers.
Which, you know, jumping into it, I mean, if it's quality, then no one really cares. But since they did come out with such, you know, average, you know,
sporadic, here's the Green Lantern movie. All right, we'll come back a little later with something else, maybe.
And a lot of it has to do with, like, actor choice, because the guy that plays Flash for the movies, I'm just like, Ezra Miller. I'm just like, man, like, I guess, like, he's, like, funny and, like, quirky, but at the same time, he just doesn't look like the Flash to me. Like,
I feel like with DC, because they got so much established already in terms of, like, TV shows, why not get those actors from the TV show? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, put them
in the movie, and now it's even more connected. Now you can really get a feel for what else is going on, because I mean, technically, that is kind of an origin story, at least for, like, Flash, where if you watch that from the beginning, you will see how he got his powers and all that. So, I mean, why not bring that element and collaborate with the things that you already got going on? Because, I mean, it's your stuff in terms of, like, DC. This is your show, so why not have that be a part of it?
I guess in a lot of ways, because the Arrow started in, like, 2012. I believe. So they, they're 6 years in, and they done did so much with that character on the TV show. So if they wanted to bring like Arrow in or something, or and Flash that a few years after that, it's like they done built such like a groundwork of that character, and how would you translate that to the movies? But and that's all in the director thing. But
well, yeah, and two, I mean, that also poses the same question from the other side. I mean, if you like, how can you connect that? It's like, okay, well, now I'm watching this movie. How can I connect this movie to that? You know what I mean? At the same time, I feel like you just kind of got to commingle with the stuff. You don't necessarily, because I get what you're saying where, it's like, well, damn, I mean, because like the Green Arrow from the show is definitely different from Green Arrow anywhere else.
Yeah.
He's pretty much like Batman on the show. So I could see where you would be like, that's not really going to work. We need the quirky, giggly Green Arrow, always got something to say Green Arrow, not the next bottom Batman replacement.
Always moody and stuff, which I mean, it's a take on things, because with like the DC, with the movies, those are just so like grim and dark, and it's like, with Superman, like I want him to be in like a deeper like space, but at the same time, like I don't really want to see him out there looking like he's ready to snap everybody's neck all the time. With Batman, I mean, he's not gonna kill anybody either, and but that the tone of Batman is always dark.
Yeah, it's dark.
But with like TV, shows on CW, they do a little bit of like some grimy stuff, but at the same time, if you're gonna put that, if you're gonna try to put that in the movies, it's like how do you trail that back between each other? So, I would like to see it, but ideally, it's just like, I don't know.
And I mean, I get that. It's just, I guess you just look for that connection. It's just one of those things where you kind of want more. You watch the Justice League and you see these guys, and then you like, okay, well, this kind of make me want to watch the Flash, because now I want to see what he got going on. But like you said, it don't really translate in either direction. Yeah. So you just watching the Flash just basically to get a base knowledge on the Flash, but not necessarily that particular character, which I guess that also kind of plays into where, like in the comics, heroes die all the time. I mean, they swap heroes out real easily, you know what I mean? Or even just like with the Secret Empire stuff. They just was like, oh, hey, forgot to tell you, for all these past 25 years, Captain America been working for Hydra. It's real easy for you to just kind of throw a monkey wrench, in the plan and be like, yes, that was Captain America. But what happened was that was Captain America from this side of from Marvel. I mean, from Universe 36
over here,
or whatever. So I mean, you just kind of got, it's a lot of different ways that you got to look at it.
And that goes back to we were talking about earlier. It's just so many years of content, and it's like, where do you start and what characters do you want to use? Because with like the Batman Dark Knight series, like he went from fighting Scarecrow to fighting Ra's al Ghul, and then Dark Knight comes out and he's fighting Joker, and then third movie he's fighting Bane, and it's like the way they did it was so good because of the writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of and that's what, and I guess at the end of the day, that is the difference between where these movies are going to be successful or not. Because if you're going to take such a beloved story, a beloved character, you got to put your all into that. And that's the one thing about it, is like maybe the writers are putting their all into it, but once you put anything in the culture of people that really love that stuff, who feel like they know those characters better than anybody, like, man, you just put basically a shot in the dark. Like, you never know until it's out there, because there's a lot of people out there that probably hate the Dark Knight, but that's probably still like so many people's favorite comic book movie.
That's a good one, yeah. Or just like sometimes it's just not the right person doing it. I mean, it's you want that star power, but at the same time, for example, like Green Lantern. I mean, yeah, you want a Ryan Reynolds type of guy because he's a good actor. He plays a lot of different various characters, and it's cool that he can be that person because he can be. But at the same time, you got to play to his strengths, what he can do and what he can't do. And if you're not doing that because you're trying to cater more to the character that he's playing, then you kind of taking away from both of them.
Yeah, and and I guess with the movies too, I said it's all about the writing, but I mean, and it is all about, like we're saying, with the director, because if they want it to be such if they want this to be a happy-go-lucky movie, spirited movie, but with the DC universe, they're like, oh man, no, we gonna make this real gritty. This what the grown-ups said they wanted, so we're gonna give it to them. And then they give it to us like, oh, I didn't really say I wanted it like that.
And maybe that's the thing too, where it's hard to take a comic, a DC comic, or a DC animated movie and turn it into a real movie because you want everybody to come out and watch it. Obviously, if everybody likes Batman or Superman or whatever. But I mean, not everybody is going to let their kids see some of the stuff that Batman do because even though he not killing people, I mean, Batman take it kind of far with the ass whoopings that he hand out. I mean, I'm just, he'll definitely whoop your ass for quite some time. And I mean, that might not be something that you want to show I mean, of course, like I said, everybody knows that that's how Batman gets down, hand-to-hand combat. For the most part, that's his whole deal. But, you might can't put a 20-minute ass whooping scene in a regular movie because people going to be like, man, bullies.
Hey, come on, man.
Wow, that's too much.
And I saw a funny joke about that. Somebody on Twitter was like, man, Batman whooped somebody's ass who was just trying to make a living for him and his kids, but he let the Joker go free every time.
Every single time. I mean, okay, just like in Suicide Squad. Man, Batman popped up while Deadshot was buying his daughter some Christmas presents or something. Man. He like, come on, bro. We don't want to do this in front of your kids. And it's like, you can pop up on me at any time. So why would you pick now? If that you trying to threaten, you trying to threaten me in front of my kids, so you could be like, oh, come with me, or I'm gonna have to whip your ass in front of your kid. Like
already Ben Affleck, they already salty.
It's like, dang, man. I mean, no, I don't know. And like I said, I mean, even though Batman feels a certain way about his villains, I just feel like that's not necessarily something that he would have done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not really the way that he would have went about it. Like, yo, you sure you want to get your ass kicked in front of your daughter right now, bro? Because I will. I'm not playing. Like, you gonna have to shoot. You gonna have to try to shoot me in front of your daughter right now if that's what you gonna do. But
man, I don't even want. Man, Suicide Squad is such a bad movie. I forgot about that in this whole discussion. Like, Suicide Squad is just like below average at best. Like, that was just like the most overhyped thing they've ever done. Like, out of any of the movies, even Justice League, like, they hyped Suicide Squad up way more than that.
Yeah, I feel like they did a whole bunch of unnecessary stuff. Like, the Joker really didn't have to be in there. I mean, it was a lot of like random stuff that was unnecessary. And the trickle down effect from that is that on Injustice, Injustice 2, the storyline for that, the Joker end up getting killed early on in the series, you know what I mean? And now he back in Injustice 2 because Suicide Squad, and they trying to cross promote. But at the same time, it's like, damn, man.
He was still like a ghost?
Yeah, he was just doing random stuff, like laughing in the background. And I mean, I get it because he's like a psychopath or whatever. But at the same time, where you got other characters like Shazam that you took off of the thing because he got killed too. Okay, so how do the Joker get to make it if Shazam can't make it? Which obviously that just goes back to the cross promotion and the money aspect and who's gonna pay for what. But at the same time, it's like you kind of got to put that to the side if you want your fans to really enjoy the stuff that you putting out. Sometimes not. You got to think about the smaller scale rather than the grand scheme.
It's all about the money, man.
That definitely is no bueno, if you ask me. But
man, we done went on a serious, long tangent of topics. We was talking about conventions, we was talking about everything, and I had a point just to relate with Comic-Con. And that's with Comic-Con and with the movies and all that, with video games and all just like coming together. It's like everybody has like their opinion. Like, I'm hoping that the convention's gonna be good. It might suck, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody, experiences is different, or what everybody's looking for is different. Just like with comic books and stuff. Like me, I just want to read something that's okay deep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to read something that I feel like I'm about to rack my brain on. I already got to read the page probably 3 times because I missed a word or the art. I was like, hold on, man, how did I follow this stuff?
Jumping around, kind of page all over the page a little bit.
Which even with like with the movies, like that happens to me a lot with the movies, because I watch a movie sometimes and I'll start thinking about something they said 10 minutes ago, and then I'm like, hold on, man, what just happened?
Bring it back.
Which is a big problem with those DC movies, with like Batman, Superman. I'm like, hold on, man, where is this even leading to?
And it's definitely hard when you got Batman like, yes, I am the Batman. I will be at your house tonight at 5 o'clock. Like, what? What are you saying? I said I will be at your house tonight. Hello? Man, I think we got a bad connection. Like, I can't hear what you saying, bro. Speak up a little bit. I mean, I get it because it's the Dark Knight. He the Dark Knight, but I mean, sheesh. The point is for us to know what he's talking about, and I don't. So I'm not sure, what am I supposed to do with that mess?
Man.
Turn on the subtitles every time. I have to turn on Google Translate when I go to the movies just to hear what he's saying. And get a hearing aid or something.
One thing I am, and this is totally changing the subject, one thing I'm looking for, which I know you're just totally off of it now, is people playing Pokemon Go downtown. Which I just need to stop playing that game. That's a time waste. But yeah, we're gonna be at Comic-Con. It's gonna be cool.
I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm excited to be here doing this podcast.
A part of some, and maybe I guess we talked about it, but just being around, people that are into something that you're into, like a no judgment zone. People are, it's gonna be parents there with their kids, or it's gonna be people our age, people older, and it's cool to see that, man, and seeing people that really like, care about something, and especially like these days where there's so much negativity out there. Just doing something you would love to do, or being around that type of stuff is what's cool. So that's what I'm excited for.
And I am excited just because I am excited. I've never been to a Comic-Con or any kind of con.
Yeah, and I need to we need to get out to Anime Central.
The only con I know about is Shaka. I know about Shaka Con.
Shaka Con.
I know about
Genghis Khan.
Yeah, I know about. Yeah, that's what I was really going for with Shao Kahn, but I couldn't think about it.
That'd be a good cosplay in some way if I could figure that out. Like Shao Kahn.
You just have to eat a whole bunch of chicken and just save the bones, and just glue them to like a cardboard box.
Oh my god! Well, that's us for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We'll be at Comic-Con. We'll be back next week with some more stuff. We're going to talk about anime next week. Maybe we won't talk about anime, but we'll be here. That's Black Nerd Planet. And we'll see ya.
I think Quan produced this.
Play this record as frequently as possible.